Welcome to Keto Life Support, where we make your keto life sustainable, fun, and low stress. I'm Kim Howerton, and I'll be coming to you weekly with some of my keto besties to bring you the practical, real-world keto advice that you need. Quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor, and even if we do have a doctor in the house from time to time, he or she is not your doctor, and nothing we say on this show should be taken as medical advice. Always check in with a trusted medical professional about your own personal medical concerns.
Hey, it is Kim Howerton with Keto Life Support, and this is episode 190. And today we're going to talk about uninvited comments. So we've just in the United States had one big holiday where you might have seen your family for the first time in quite a while, Thanksgiving. And we're about to head into the next biggie. For some of us, that might be Hanukkah. For others of us, that's Christmas, based on percentages of how people lay out. Mostly it's Christmas. If not that, then you'll just see people. And this actually applies all year round, not just during the holidays. It just gets particularly intense in the holiday season, I find. Maybe because you're seeing certain members of your extended family who you might not choose to spend time with on the regular. And sometimes there's a good reason you have chosen not to spend much time with those people because they say mean things. And one of the things that I've noticed come up recently a couple of times on social media is people mentioning that a family member or a friend, using the term loosely, has said something to them about their body. You know, especially because you might be getting together at these holiday parties, events, what have you, and there's food involved, right? And often indulgent food. And so the comments might not just be about your body. Like, I think a lot of us have had the experience of seeing someone we haven't seen in a long time and them making a point to say something. Oh, you've put on some weight, or oh, you've lost some weight, right? Like, make it a point to comment on your body. People feel much more comfortable saying you've lost weight, right? So, I mean, that's not considered rude, but it's a comment about your body, and maybe you don't want that. But at the holiday season, especially around food events, the comments might also be like, should you really be eating that? Or seconds? Really? That's enough, right? People feel like they have some license to say something about what you choose to eat. Now, for some of you, you might be keto or eating in a very specific way, and they may have comments about that. You know, why are you just having that? You shouldn't have some pie. Or maybe it's that you've chosen to have pie and they're commenting on you having the pie, right? You can't win, right? You cannot win. And sometimes, I think often a lot of us in our past or at some time have just shut up and taken it or just kind of laughed it off. And I think, first of all, hopefully, obviously, if you have any ability to keep these kinds of people out of your life, or when people expose themselves to you as being these kinds of people, and you can potentially say, no, not going to see that person again, I would do that. But I think the time to sit in silence is done. I don't think we should do that anymore. Now, you should do whatever keeps you safe. Let me say it that way first. If you live in a volatile family where your mental health is going to be further damaged by speaking up because there will be a ganging up upon you because you dared to say something to Aunt Trudy, then maybe it is best to stay mum. But it's also then a good idea to say, okay, what can I do to protect myself as best as I can be protected here? You do not owe your sanity to anyone else. You do not owe your well-being being damaged to anyone else's well-being, right? So how can we best protect you in those places? Bring a friend, someone to run interference, someone who isn't afraid of upsetting Aunt Trudy. But I think that one of the most important things we do on our health journey is develop better boundaries and self-protection. that keeps us mentally healthy. It's not just about the food we put in our mouth, it's about everything we consume. And so I think that when someone makes a inappropriate comment about your body or your food, it is appropriate to respond. Now, I need you guys to be smart in how you respond. If you respond like a teenager, you're not going to be taken seriously and you're going to feel icky afterwards because you'll get dismissed. But if you respond like you deserve some self-respect and to be treated like an important human in the world, that is where you begin to move mountains. You begin to develop good boundary communication, and you begin to take up the room you need to in the world. So I think it's important to go into any situation knowing, if you can know, you can't always know, knowing what might come up, right? You know your family members. You know these people that you don't see very often. You know who is mean and rude and out of bounds, right? And so knowing some of that is going to help. But the other part that's really challenging is knowing your worth. Because if you feel unworthy and someone treats you with disrespect, you're not going to defend yourself because you believe them. So I would say instead, go into the situation knowing that your way of eating is appropriate for you right now. However you've chosen to eat on any given day is only your call to make. Maybe yours and your doctor's in certain circumstances, right? But ultimately, it is your call to make. It is your body. You get to make your choices. You have to pay the consequences of your choices, so you get to make them. Now, in these situations, having that reminder as you go in, reminding yourself as you're entering these social situations that you are a right, good, just, and whole person who deserves to be treated with love, affection, and respect might help you weather the storm. So, what would I say in these situations? Now, one of the interesting things is I've started to notice when I am impacted by a positive thing somebody says too, right? I will often have family members. I have some family members who are very obsessed with thinness who might say, gosh, you look so much better. Or I've noticed you've lost weight. You look amazing, right? Or something along those lines. And while on like one level, it feels complimentary, on another level, I feel like then every time they see me when I might have gained weight or something, I'm aware they're like, she looks worse than she used to, but they're just not saying anything. So I'm aware of those things too, and trying to say like, it's probably best to never address somebody's weight, right? You can say you look great, but let's not say you look like you lost weight. Just, I'm putting that out there. Unless they bring it up to you, they talk about it. And coming from that place of a little more grounded in your right to exist in your current body and to be happy today and not have to pay for somebody else's strange thoughts, is if you can take on the knowledge that what they're saying about you isn't about you, it's about them. And if you can get, the Southern people do this so well when they're like, well, bless your heart, right? If somebody says something that seems like it's trying to put you down or put you in your place or just is unkind about you, try to think that, right? Like think, oh, I feel bad for them. I feel sorry for this person. And see if you can come at it from that place, not in a, you should take it, but thinking, oh gosh, that person is all effed up, right? It kind of deflects some of that thought that, oh, I'm the one that's effed up. No, they're the one that's effed up. And then respond. Let them know that what they said isn't appropriate. So one of the ways you can do that is if they've made like a joke at your expense, or they've said something that's like a dig but isn't real clear. Like maybe they've said, are you sure you need another piece of pie? You can say to them, I'm sorry, what are you insinuating? What did you mean by that? Why are you asking me if I need another slice of pie? I'm getting another slice of pie, so clearly I need it. I just act confused. Then have them have to explain, well, you shouldn't have a second slice of pie because you're a little fat. or something like that. Something that makes it much more obvious that they're way out of line, right? If they say something more directly about your body that is just like, looks like you put on some weight, you can say something more direct if you want. I mean, all of this is going to go with what kind of person you are and how you feel about it. You can say, well, that's not a nice thing to say at all. Like literally just call it out, not in an aggressive way or whatever. Like, oh, that's really not a very nice thing to mention. Don't, I repeat, don't go the route of flinging the mud back at them. Well, you aren't looking so svelte yourself either, Aunt Trudy. Right now, don't do that. But just say, oh, that hurt my feelings. Oof, it's rough here this Christmas, and say like, I would prefer it if you didn't comment on my body. Thanks. You have every right to say that. And I know it goes against some family dynamics, but bad family dynamics should be changed. And if you won't start with you, then who is going to? Your kids? You're going to let them take that on one day instead of you? Your nieces and nephews? Your grandkids? Whoever? Like, no, take that on. Take that on now. All right. So this is your Auntie Kim giving you permission to stand your ground and defend who you are and where you are, and know that even if you personally think you have more body fat than you would like to have, does not mean anyone gets to comment on that, and no one else gets to judge you and make you feel inferior. So don't give them that permission. Hope you have a fabulous time, whatever you choose to do moving forward. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Keto Life Support. Want more information? Want show notes? Want to suggest a topic? Just head over to ketolifesupport.com. That's where all that kind of thing can go on. By the way, I have a request. If you could go to your podcast host and hit subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And what would be even more awesome is if you could write a review. And what would be even more awesome than that is if you could write like a really flattering review. Just asking, you do you. All right. So thanks so much for joining us. I'm thrilled that you're part of the Keto fam. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.